How's it going? Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you guys. Um, the topics for tonight's live stream are haters on a recent post that I had, a short video. Kind of my fault. Kind of my fault. I will admit that. And also, I'm going to be sharing with you my pro and con list for Donald Trump. And the con side is a lot longer than the pro side, and it pains me to say that because I'm a conservative person big time, and I'm not into what's going on with Mr. Joe Biden by any stretch of the imagination, as you can probably imagine. I don't think many people are, to be honest. But as a conservative person, it's not great to have a feeling that no one out there. Well, I'm into RFK Jr. to be quite honest. I don't know if his stance on guns aligns with me, but I'll tell you that guy. Yeah, I'm into him quite a bit. But I'm going to share my Donald Trump list with you as well here. So before I get started, if you like this live stream, please leave me a thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate you. All right, let's jump in very quickly here. So I'm going to share this post with you, and then I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to explain myself because I do take responsibility for this. So here we go here. Let me just set it up here. And okay, here we go. All right, here it is. Here's the post in question. Then I'm going to share my thoughts. Quick question. What happens when all the people that our government is allowing to come to the country illegally to replace us? Because we've woken up to the fact that our government doesn't give a shit about us and we are just pawns in their little game. What happens when those people wake up to the fact that our government doesn't give a shit about them and they are just pawns in the government's little game? What then? Okay, there it is. I probably should have rephrased the word replace because I think that's where the trouble arises. And let me just share. Well, let me tell you my stance, and I'm gonna share some of these comments. I got some really fired up comments, and I don't blame people. And it looks like a lot of the comments came from liberal leaning people, and I assume they were mad at me for being mean to immigrants, and I will take responsibility for that. When I say replace, what I really mean by that is this: not replace us in like our jobs or our role in the world or those kind of things. I mean, replace us from the standpoint of our government, based on my perception, has not been listening to us and has not been representing us in the proper way and has not been responsive to us. I don't think either side, left or right, wants wars. I don't think either side, left or right, wants rampant inflation. I don't think anyone wants the the borders to be open. Lord knows who's coming through, right? We have a set immigration process, and that is the way of our country is supposed to go. All countries are supposed to have a set immigration process so that you know who's coming into your country and who's going out. So my idea with this replacing thing is that they're not being responsive to us, right? Our government's not listening to us. They're not representing us. When you have your government trying to pass a law to ban TikTok, regardless of what you feel about that, and we have sky high inflation, open borders, wars going on, all sorts of trouble in like New York and California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, all these problems in our world, and also not to mention people are very sketched out by government in general right now, and they're very disenfranchised. And you have our government, their biggest task, they're wasting precious time passing a law on TikTok. That's what I'm talking about as far as they're disconnected from us. So when I say replace, I mean it appears that they're bringing or allowing people to come in to replace Americans at the voting booth. That's what it appears like to me. I don't know why. Going on to the official government websites, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I shared them in a recent live stream, but it's like 6 million people, if you believe the government numbers. That was on a .gov website. So when I say replace, that's what I mean. But I triggered a lot of people, and it prompted me to think more carefully about my words moving forward. Now, not all of them got triggered. let me just jump into these comments here. Some of the comments were, just standard. One person said, "Be better, work harder, don't wait for the government. I'm confident in my abilities and work ethic that I won't be replaced." So see, they're picking up on my replaced word. Another one said, "It's not what, it's when. WW3 began 3 years ago. Slow roll of dominoes that have been picking up speed." That's from a person that comments on some of my posts, and I agree with that. Chaos. This person said, "Worry is interest you pay on tomorrow's trouble." While it is true, I told them an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, which that's what I feel to be true as well. This person, here's one of the haters. "Yes, please replace you. We can do better without you." So this person says, "Nobody is coming to replace you." Okay, so this person said, "How are you being replaced?" I keep hearing people repeating this from their favorite political commentators, but they don't explain how. And if that's the theory, then why isn't the Republican Party thinking of ways to bring those future voters instead of demonizing them? And I replied to that person and said, the US and European countries are being flooded with different cultures to cause chaos and strife. It's the black ants and the red ants in a jar scenario. The NWO gang is working hard to erase every nation's boundaries and culturally subvert humanity. They want to pave the way for a one world government. But first, they need to destroy the governments that are in place now. I believe both parties are in the pockets of the NWO crew at this point. So maybe it's not so much being replaced as it is disrupted. That was my comment. Let me see what this gentleman wrote. "I'm from Ethiopia and I need someone to help me get a break." I'm not sure how to reply to that. Let me mull it over a little bit and think. I'm not sure what you're asking me for there. Let's see. This guy says, "Worry about..." Here's where the hate came in. "Worry about your wife replacing you. Leave the poor immigrants alone." So, this guy said, "Being bald sure did make you insecure. Believe me, bud, no one wants to take your place." So there's some hate. Let's see what else they had here. I thought that was when the immigration first started. "To replace you, turn off Fox noise. Good God, man." So first of all, I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch any mainstream media. Let's see what else. "To replace, what are you really that susceptible?" So this person said, "To replace us. What are you really that susceptible to propaganda?" And it very well could be propaganda that they're doing. I have to remind myself sometimes when I get a little worked up about what I see in the world. Maybe you're like this as well. We know the media can spin yarns and manipulate us, and so can the government. So we have to be careful. I mean, the last 3 years have proven that big time. This person said, "Reason why the elites are building bunkers. They know it's going to happen. It's like they're acting out the movie Trading Places." That very well could be. So just some hateful comments, but I just wanted to, explain myself. It's more of the replacement in the sense of, I feel that they have completely disenfranchised us, and they're now wanting, more people to come in. I shared a video on my Instagram feed at GMarkPhillips about this, and they're about the Democrats' supposed plan to bring people into these key places in the country and sway the Electoral College. I don't know. It could be. I don't know enough about it, but that's my thoughts. So I will choose my words a little more carefully moving forward, so that it doesn't trigger people, because I don't want to trigger people. That people are enough triggered by what's going on in the world already. So now let me share with you my pro and con list for Mr. Donald Trump. And I want to preface this by saying I'm a conservative person. Very conservative person in many ways. I believe the best government is a small government. Now, that is not to say that, best government is a small government. I believe in police. I believe in the minimal amount of government is the best type of government. I'm a big fan of G. Edward Griffin, and he has recently talked about a gentleman who did a study and looked back through history, and they said, okay, when were people most prosperous? When were societies or countries thriving the most. And they determined that people were most prosperous and societies thrived the most when government was either small or maybe they were big but ineffective, right? And then these bubbles of prosperity and abundance bubbled up. And I believe that is why the US took the leap that it did. There's a book out there, and I have not read it, but I know about it, called The 5,000-Year Leap. And that's talks about how the US took like a 5,000-year leap ahead of many other countries in innovation and inventions and prosperity and abundance. And I believe that was because we have freedom here. This is why I believe people want to come to the United States, because we have opportunity here, at least for the time being. That may change in the near future. But I'm for small government. I do not like career politicians. They sketch me out. People like Bernie Sanders sketch me out. People like Joe Biden sketch me out. I'm definitely not a liberal, not left-leaning. Again, I'm a conservative person. I believe in the smallest minimal amount of government. I voted for Trump twice, right? I just want to get that clear. I'm no longer down with him, and here's why. The pro side is this. He did tell the World Economic Forum to shove it, and that is a good thing, because the World Economic Forum are sketchy. You know, they're an unelected body. They've got their little fat fingers into everybody's business. And the whole thing with Davos is super sketch. It's all weird. I'm going to be sharing a bunch of videos, little short clips coming up on that. You know, these so-called elites, which I don't call them elites. I think of them more as clowns, really, quite frankly. They're weird. They're weird. I can't think of another word to describe it. They're weird. So he did tell the World Economic Forum to bug off. And he also told, I got to add that to my list, WHO. He also told the WHO to bug off and defunded the WHO. That was it. I don't remember what year in his presidency he did that, but he defunded them. And then, of course, Bill Gates stepped up and funded the WHO. And I called the WHO Bill Gates marketing agency. That's what it seems like to me. They're sketch. The other thing I have on my pro list for why I like Donald Trump is historical black colleges. He did something with forgiving loans or something around that with a historical black college. I thought that was very cool for him to do, and that was awesome. Now, those are my three things on the pro side. Now, the con side, here we go. It's long. He didn't get done what he told us he was going to do with border security as far as the wall and the southern border. And I think that's a con for sure. Operation Warp Speed was a huge con for me. No one in their right mind would buy a product made under a rush program, right? Especially when the standard length of products like that. I like Trump too. I liked him. I'm having second thoughts at the moment, and hear me out. No one would buy a product made under a program called Warp Speed. Most people wouldn't even buy a toaster made under a program called Warp Speed. But because the mainstream media and the politicians were putting so much, this is my theory, we're putting so much fear into the world, people weren't thinking straight. Remember, fear is the mind killer, Frank Herbert. When you're not thinking straight and you're in a fearful state, your prefrontal cortex does not process information in the proper way, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do. This is why it's a different type of scenario, but it's a similar principle. This is why when someone loses a spouse, the general rule of thumb is don't make any rash decisions for, 6 months, a year. When you make decisions under duress, you open yourself up to making a poor decision. It's a super bad thing to do. And I think the government messed with people's minds in that way. So Operation Warp Speed is in the con column of why I'm not a fan of Donald Trump right now. The other reason it's in the con column is Israel. Donald Trump is pretty tight with Israel. And when I'm looking at what's going on in Gaza, it looks like a total and complete shit show. It looks like they are doing heinous things in Gaza. And I don't want to say too much about it because I know that's very triggering too, but that's in the con column. Small con, but it is in the con column. He didn't pardon Julian Assange. I think that's sketch. I view Julian Assange as a national hero, quite frankly, as a world hero, to be honest. I mean, exploiting lies and deceit. And again, war crimes is a heroic effort to me. And that guy is one of my heroes. The other thing I have here, well, let's jump back up to this one. So another con thing is MAGA. Donald Trump's slogan happens to be also the level 5 in the Church of Satan. And that is super sketch for me. MAGA is the name nomenclature for level 5 in the Church of Satan. And that's sketchy to me. I did a couple videos on this a couple months back, and you can go check those out if you like. The other thing that's sketchy to me about Donald Trump, and again, it sucks to say these things because I want him to be on our side, right? I want someone on our side to replace Biden. That guy's a clown show. 1 million, Donald Trump took $1 million campaign donation from Pfizer. That's sketchy to me because pharmaceutical industry are super bad actors, right? They have a long history of making fraudulent, misleading claims about their products to doctors and the American people, and they are super sketchy. They were involved in the Vioxx problem. They were involved in the opioid problem, right? Telling doctors, oh no, this stuff doesn't cause addiction. You can give it freely. It's no problem. Well, both of those things caused a lot of pain and heartache for people, and that's super shitty. So when you take $1 million from Pfizer, no bueno. I'm sorry. This is small, but it's a factor. I don't like his mouth, his comments, right? Again, I don't like to say that, but he has a way of triggering people and being rude and lewd and all those things. Let's see, pro Operation Warp Speed and gene therapy. Okay, Hunter Biden, con getting caught. So his mouth, he runs his mouth a lot, and I don't think that's very stately. I don't think that's very appropriate as the president of the United States. And the last one I have on the list of cons here is facilitating the bullshit in Yemen, right? Helping Saudi planes refuel to do what appears like it appears that those planes were doing the same thing that Israel is doing in Gaza now, basically flattening that place. If you go look at some video, hold on here. He is not couth. That is for sure. Yeah, he's not very couth at all. How can you tie Trump to what is happening now in Israel? Explain the thought process. I don't necessarily tie him to what is happening in Israel. I tie him to being I'm critical of him being tied to Israel. I believe what I know about Trump, him and Netanyahu are pretty close, and Netanyahu sketches me out big time. Again, if you want to know what I'm seeing about Israel, there's a fantastic documentary at stopworldcontrol.com/Israel. That's a fantastic documentary. There's also the what's her name? Abby Martin has her documentary on Gaza. That was pretty eye-opening. So again, look at it this way. We all know that the people you hang out with are kind of a reflection of you as well. So if Trump's hanging out with people from Pfizer, that's sketching me out. If he's hanging out with Netanyahu and Israeli people, that's sketching me out. So that's my thought process there, for what it's worth. That's my con list. That is. So you can see the con side is a lot longer than the pro side. Again, and I voted for the dude twice. I like people that aren't career politicians. The career politicians sketch me out. Biden sketches me out. Clinton sketches me out. Obama sketches me out. Bernie Sanders sketches me out. The sucky thing is, Trump went back there with the goal of, thank you. I think you'll find it eye-opening, and I'm a person who wants to take in all the information. I'll look on the left and the right and all that stuff, because I want to know the truth, right? I'm not going to, this is why I'm sharing this list right here. Again, I caught a lot of flack early on for not being critical of Joe Biden or of Donald Trump. And, do you need that candy licked? No, I do not need the candy licked. Thank you very much, though. I caught a lot of flack for not sharing being enough critical of Donald Trump, and that's fair, but I'm being critical of him now, and it sucks to do so because, again, I think our country is in a real huge mess right now, and we certainly can't withstand another 4 years of Joe Biden. I can't even imagine I can't even think how that guy is even running, to be quite honest. Truth is hard to decipher these days. It is hard to decipher 100%. 100%. And sometimes, because that's the case, sometimes people check out, and I don't blame them checking out. Again, that's why my philosophy is just to go out and grab it all and bring it in. Then again, I know a lot of people don't like to do that, to be quite honest. Hey, by the way, I want to also remind you guys, if you haven't picked it up, or if it's your first time checking me out here, I created a guide with links and all sorts of information called the Great Awakening Guide. You can pick it up at greatawakeningguide.com. Live links to all these documentaries, movies, books, etc. And also, like, what is it, 31 action steps that you can take to help keep yourself and your family safe as we move into the future. Because I would see a lot of comments on my social media at G-Mark Phillips, people like, what do we do? How do we do this stuff? And that's why I created that guide, to make it easier. And because I like going out and finding this information and seeking it. And I know a lot of people do not like that. It's not their forte. I wish Trump was our savior. I wish he was our savior too. I wish someone would come and save us. But the more I go on down the road, I think to myself, we know who runs the world. Private central bankers, money runs this world. And I recently came to the conclusion over the last couple of months that there just really isn't a way. It really isn't possible for someone to get into the seat of the presidency in the United States without being endorsed by bankers and the people who have the money. And I tell people all the time, the reason I don't listen to politicians is because they don't work for me, right? Again, if I gave Trump a million, if Pfizer gave him $1 million, if I gave him $1 million, $1 million and 100,000 extra, he'd work for me, right? He would listen to me. This is why Bill Gates gets meetings with presidents. This is why Bill Gates got a meeting with Donald Trump. I didn't get a meeting with Donald Trump because I didn't give him money. Bill Gates got a meeting with Donald Trump. Politicians listen to who has the money. And this world, money runs this world. And so I came to the realization that it's hard for me to believe that Donald Trump or any politician, especially the president of the United States, is for the American people when the money that runs this world is not for the American people, right? The money that runs this world, based on what I've picked up on my own journey, is into themselves, right? And they're into increasing their return on investment. Pfizer gives Trump $1 million. Trump gives Pfizer 3.2 or how many billions for the VACCINE a few years later. Now that's a pretty good return on investment, if you ask me. Again, that's a simplistic viewpoint. I'm not, trying to make it too simplistic, but that's the way I see things. And the overarching theme here with my pro-con list for Donald Trump is this. I'm to the point where I'm no longer willing to say, oh, well, there are probably mitigating factors. There are probably things outside of his control. Oh, he has to work in this way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Knowing how crazy these things, like, why would you give companies that have a long history of making fraudulent, misleading claims about their products? The pharmaceutical industry is the worst offender based on fines levied from the Department of Justice. You can find this on Wiki. All those companies for decades have accrued billion-dollar fines. I mean, we're talking $2 billion, $3 billion, whatever, for making fraudulent, misleading claims about their products. They're a wide range of products. They're not good stewards for people, right? They have a long history of putting profits over people. I cannot give someone a pass that, especially a president who ultimately has the care, the well-being of the American people in their, he's caring for us. He's supposed to be caring for us. I cannot give someone a pass that gives those companies money and a blank check saying, hey, here's the check, here's the money up front. You don't have any liability if things go wrong. I just woke up and I decided I'm going to take a hard stance and be like, no, that's not right. That's wrong to do. So that's the big kicker right there. But there's my piece. Thank you guys for sharing your comments. I appreciate you for hanging out with me tonight. Stay well, and I will talk to you hopefully in the next one. Until next time, all the best. We got another one coming in hot here. Let's see. There is a guy I listen to. He talks about geopolitics. He has a pretty interesting take on things. He has a channel on YouTube, Breitling Currency. He talks about current events worth looking into. All right, I will look into it. So it looks like it's Breitling, Breitling. Okay, I will do it. Thank you for sharing that resource. You must have read my mind. I love it when people share resources with me because I think that's baller. That's what we need to do right now. Share knowledge and information so that we can, stay safe. And by the way, Cam, let me just throw this one out at you since you brought that up. Have you watched that documentary called The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb? It's super phenomenal. I've actually got a review video on my YouTube channel, or you can see review videos all over the place. The Great Taking is how they plan to really create the Great Reset, right? To give you a spoiler alert, I mean, let me know if you've heard of this, by the way, if you're still there. The short story is, too long didn't read story is they have modified the uniform commercial codes in all 50 states in such a way that not if, when the dollar crashes and everything comes to a screeching halt, which could be any time. I'm surprised we're still going, to be quite honest, right now, because based on what I see, it's the Federal Reserve. I will check that out. Have heard of David Webb? Okay, you have heard of him. Cool. Yeah, he seems like a super genuine guy. That documentary is eye-opening. By the way, don't get discouraged with the first half of it. It doesn't get really rolling until about 40 minutes in. It's very dry at the beginning, but after that, it starts wild, right? I think they actually should have flipped the back end, the second half to the front of it to catch people, but it's really good. But the long story short is they've adjusted this uniform commercial code in all 50 states to facilitate basically sweeping of assets from people's, so we're talking stocks and bonds, we're talking even homes and potential cars, anything that is used as collateral on someone's books, as loan. It's sketchy. It's sketchy. So yeah, check it out. And I think you'll find it interesting. And thanks for sharing that link. All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Until next time, all the best, health, wealth, and success. Have an awesome day. The guy I recommend will challenge you a bit, but listen to a few vids. I will sub. Hey, thank you, Cam. I appreciate you. And I'll check out that guy because I like to be challenged for sure. All right. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome night. Bye-bye.